What's up, everybody? It's Jermaine Morgan, and you're watching Jermaine Morgan TV. Today, I have the privilege of having my brother and friend, Mr. Colby Straughter, here with me, sitting in on drums today. Colby and I have been playing in a band together for a few years now, and grown into a great friendship. And we wanted to do this song as a tribute to a band member who used to play with us in this particular band. The band was called The Posse, and the guitar player that was featured on that track was Mr. Calvin Loatman, a good friend of ours, who's no longer with us, and we want to do that track as a tribute to him. Produced by Mr. Dario Edgecombe. Track also features, who else is featured on this track? We got Brian Carson that was featured on the keyboard solo, as well as Andre Hickman on the percussion solo. And the original drummer for this track was Quentin Robinson, Q Robinson. So yeah, just to shout out a few people who played on the track. And Mr. Colby came in and played many times. We did this song live. So it's a pleasure to have him here with us today, dude. It's good to finally get you in here on season 3, finally.
Yeah.
So it's definitely good to have you in, man. The thing I really wanted to, I guess, share with people, when we met, it was like, that drum and bass connection kind of made made in heaven, so to speak. Yeah. Every bass player, and not to say I haven't played with other great and phenomenal drummers, because I got several amazing drummer friends, but the chemistry we had from week to week, it was like it was unreal.
Actually, honestly, this particular song I never heard at the time. I think y'all recorded the month before.
Right before you got there.
When I got finally hired, whatsoever I want to say, I came aboard. This was one of the songs Dario called out for us to pass the piece to.
Yeah, he did, and you just sat in it.
He just said, Colby played 6/8 time, kind of played Yellow Jacket feel, Will Kennedy type.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay. Y'all started 1, 2, 3, and it was there.
One thing I've noticed over the years playing with you, you got this ability to walk in, not playing a song before, and actually play it like you've heard it before. So I want to know, like, because everybody can't do that. So what's your thought process behind being able to do that and being able to pull it off as if you've heard the song before?
Honestly, thank God for growing up in church, Pentecostal church. You always kind of got thrown in the fire with certain stuff. As a musician, coming from my end, and a lot of people might not agree with it, or this just my preference of seeing it, you know what I'm saying, understanding. A lot of times I grew up, not knowing certain beats to songs, but it might be something I heard before, and it kind of sounds similar, so I kind of make sense in so many words. As far as pertaining to that, now, the music now, because, back then, everything was almost the same beat. I'm a soldier,
Yeah.
All that stuff, call and response. The music now is so, CCM. Everything is so almost rock-driven, a little classic rock, though.
Yeah.
So, majority of the time, they want to hear these toms, big toms, snare drum, full snare drum. And majority of the time, you got to crash ride.
For the people who might not, and I don't want to cut you off, but for the people who might be in a situation like from where I'm from, music is kind of growing a lot more, but when you say full snare drum, for the people that don't understand what that means, because some folks snare is a snare for them.
And you're right, yeah, a full snare drum. What I mean by full snare drum in my term, and thank you for asking that, because everybody has a different termination for anything. Full snare drum mean a 14 by 5.5, or a 14 by 6.5. And what I mean by the 14, I mean the inch of the drum, and the depth of the drum, what I mean by 5.5, 6.5. Because it brings more body to the actual song. You hear a lot of these, what we call different, I know I don't want to get ahead of myself, you got these dark tones. That means low snare drum, but you might have some kind of muffler or big thing about these new things called big fat snare type deal. These ringers, or you could put a dead ringer and you can detune the snare yourself, but get it that sweet sound, and snares kind of slightly off. The strainers What I mean by the snares at the bottom, those little jiggler things that y'all kids be tearing up at the church, that at the bottom kind of slightly off, and a lot of people want that whole aggressive full drum sound.
Okay.
It's almost like you whacking the drums, but you gotta whack it with character.
Okay.
You gotta, because you majority of the times, a lot of times going back to listening to the songs. I only play 2 instruments, y'all. And I thank God for it. At first, when drums is my first love, I always continue to play drums. But my parents made me play organ and keys. And so, down the years going through that, it made me look at any keyboard player, Dario, Trenton Phillips, numerous of others, Jermaine, you can play.
Don't count me.
Brian, it makes me, the coloration of what I'm supposed to do, it makes it stick out. So I understand the music a little bit more. So I have a more detailed memory of, okay, this is what happened. Because they might play a hit or a lick or something, and I might miss it the first time, but the next time, okay, that's where it was in this area, in this part of the song. Man, music is basically connect the dots.
Absolutely. So in your opinion, you'd kind of say, based on what you're saying, would you recommend, especially drummers, to learn a second instrument, preferably keyboard, to have a better understanding?
Yeah. I mean, you got some drummers. Most drummers, either keyboard or bass.
Yeah, most drummers go to bass.
And so, I mean, I would recommend that at any time when you do have the time. Now, if you're not feeling it, don't force yourself, because it's a lot of people who look at me and say, "Oh, Colby, you can play bass, key bass,
you have no
real
bass."
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, but then too, along with that, going back to that, which I like that subject, is, man, really a lot of times when you have the time to hear the song, man, hear the song. Because, and hear the foundation. Don't hear, ooh, he just played this lick or whatsoever. Hear the simplicity of the song, the foundation, the blueprint of the song. And you're gonna always nail it. You might not even practice it physically, but you can always nail it and see, you know, it's a lot I can say about just that topic right there.
So you spent a lot of, because we had Dre on the show before, bass player, key bass player, and me and him were talking about the same thing, but we were talking from the perspective of charting the songs out. But I know most drummers I know don't chart. Majority of the drummers I know don't chart. I know some few drummers, like my friend Darius that came in last season. I know he charts a lot of stuff.
Right.
Because he was band director as well.
Right.
But you're saying basically live with the music.
Right.
Given the opportunity.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, it has been sometimes, especially certain sessions, that, I got at the last minute. It was a long way off, and things of that nature, and it came up to the session. So, in me preparing, I have sat down and charted certain things out.
Okay.
You know, as far as like, okay, this lick is this, and write it out. Because I also know how to read as well. And that's another thing that we as a culture need to get better at. Learning how to read music. But I have learned how to chart out certain things, but majority of the time, if you see my paper or see my notebook, it's verse 1, verse 2, you know, saying chorus right here, big intro, big band intro, and then it might be you know what I'm saying, a lick, and I write the lick out, you know, and it'd be an 8 note, 16 note lick that I'm trying to remember, or one yen or 2 yen or something. I'll write that out so I can remember it, because anything, I have learned this, anything you write out, 90% of the time you're gonna remember it.
Absolutely, I agree.
90% of the time you're gonna remember it. So.
And I definitely agree with that, because I found, like I said, I've said this on many episodes, but like charting songs cut my song learning time almost in half. Right. And when like you said, when I'm charting the song, I'm memorizing, I'm committing it to memory as I'm writing it. So when we pull that chart out and I'm kind of going along with it, sometimes I can just look away from that chart and I still got it.
Right.
And maybe if I get to a point that I might get lost, I'll just go back to the chart. You know what I'm saying? So it's there. slightly as a crutch for the time being.
Right.
But it helps me to make sure that I'm nailing every piece of the song
Right.
until I am able to fully commit it to memory,
Right.
after playing it a few times. Now, you're very particular about your drum tones.
Correct.
How would somebody who's maybe new to drums or maybe new to their playing situation or whatever, just say they've been on drums for a while, but they haven't been specifically recording or been in an environment that required them to pay that much attention to tones, how can they go about learning tones or getting better at their drum tones?
Well, of course, everybody knows it ain't gonna come overnight. So that's first thing. So don't get discouraged. Keep working on it. I think, and I was thinking about this on my ride here. It was certain individuals growing up, and I always got to go back to that. Certain individuals that I watch locally and professionally, that I listen to their tones. Started listening to Vinny, Omar, Hakeem, it was Dan Needham and all them type of people. Dave Wuckle.
Okay.
So I started taking that, and then on top of that, went to school, middle school, learned how to read. My teacher was on me about that, tones and stuff like that, because in band you had to learn all kind of different instruments, of course.
Okay.
So you had to learn about bells, xylophones, timpanis, and correct tuning and not being underpitched. So all that stuff I just started taking back to my church. And so then I started, in my field of church, started listening to, people, Terry Baker, you know what I'm saying, Calvin Coon now. Liddell. Start listening, and these are kind of cats that, to me, it was totally different. You know what I'm saying? Totally different. Different sounds, you know what I'm saying? Aggressive, getting around, recording with certain engineers. And I think that was, in my 20s, I was getting, not chewed out, but I was getting challenged.
So, yeah, that brings up a good point. I think if from you to people like Dario to almost anybody that we know that's doing it professionally, all of them got their horror story, so to speak, of being chewed out by that guy or those people, even myself. People always have a horror story of being kind of chewed out, but I think that's needed, you know what I'm saying? Not necessarily being chewed out, but having somebody to not be afraid to tell you the truth.
Right.
Like, yo, that sounds bad, you need to fix it. Versus nowadays we got this instant gratification, people going live on social media and all that stuff, and look at me.
Back then, we didn't have this YouTube and all that.
None of that.
We had tape, rewind it, play it back.
Exactly.
And it's all depending on how you grew up too, because, poor tape, you got to wait till you get home. Your button on your rewind button might not work or whatsoever, so you had to wait till it come back again. So, yeah, man, for real.
Good old-fashioned poverty.
Yeah. So, like, for real, like, I'll never forget, man, I had an incident, thank God for Ken Andrews in Jacksonville. I always worked with him, and I learned a lot from him, but he learned a lot from me, too. He used to always, he said in order for me to record good, he used to him, I never take it wrong. He's like, man, I'ma just trash you. Man, you sound horrible. I just, every time, going back and trash, and it never took me long to record.
Wow.
So, but Rick, my big brother Rick, I gotta put him out like that. Love you, dude, because you one of the greatest.
Rick Wofford.
Rick Wofford, bro. I'll never forget, we was in Orlando recording a project, and I bought my drum set, and I bought, my standard snare, and just 2 tones. And it was simple groove. But when I started playing this song, Rick was like, oh, that's what we on now. So they made up something. Mike Bird, Rick sitting there. And all Rick wanted me to do for 30 minutes was play snare, hi-hat, kick, and crash on the one. And I was mad. And I didn't show it to him. but he knew I was mad.
Yeah.
And I learned my lesson. And when I did that, he had me to put on different 2 16-inch crashes together. I was playing 13s. He told me to take them off. Told me detune my snare drum. Don't hit no tones. Play kick, snare, hi-hat, and crash on the one. And that changed my life because that became one of the dopest records I ever played. I mean, I didn't play a lot of records, thanks be to God, but that became one of the dopest records I ever played. And when we talk about it, we laugh about it now, and I always bring it up. And he was like, bro, I was just trying to make you better. You gotta think more than that. More than not trying to diss church or nothing. He was like, man, dude, you gotta think more. All I'm doing is just pushing you.
Absolutely. And so we definitely need those people that kind of see that potential in us and to push us and not being afraid to take, like you saying, you were mad, but you tried not to show him. Versus nowadays, it's hard to kind of correct anybody because we feel that, oh, I'm this guy. Especially people who are pretty good already.
Right.
It's like you can't really say anything to them, and I think that's important. Being teachable, remaining teachable, no matter how far you get. Right. Even at this level, I've been playing professionally for a while now, but even at this level, like if I'm around somebody who has something valuable to offer to me, I'm all ears. You know, I'm not trying to act like. I'm not bringing my ego to the table. It's like at some point you got to leave your ego outside and understand that there is more to learn to this thing because music is ever...
It's evolving.
Yeah, it's ever evolving, man. But man, I think for the most part you pretty much covered as many questions as I can ask you today. Man. But like I said, it's always great to vibe with you, and it's like, you know, no matter how long we've been apart playing, it's like as soon as we play, it's like we was playing yesterday. So it's always cool to have those cool relationships with people who understand you musically, and y'all can speak that musical language, and you don't have to do a whole bunch of talking, that kind of thing. And dude, and you know, you always one of my go-to drummers as it relates to recording. Yeah. This dude is a great studio drummer. He and a couple of other people that have been on the show are some of my go-tos anytime I have anything that I'm producing or I'm working on. I'm recommending these guys because they know how to play evenly, how to land everything that they go for, and not fishing for stuff. And really, like some of the stuff you were saying earlier, you pay attention to the music, and you play what the music needs, what the music calls for.
Right.
You give your interpretation to it with respect to what the song is asking for.
Right.
And playing with you live always pushes me because I mean you're stretching me live.
Right.
But yeah, man. Again, thank you for being on the show. I'm gonna put your social media. This dude don't be on social media like this, so
no.
It's like I think
if you know me, you got my number. That's the best thing in the world.
Because the only thing you're on is what, Instagram.
Instagram.
So I'll put.
But in the future, it's coming soon. In the future, I got a website coming up.
Okay.
Thank God, and I will be doing like a Facebook soon. Don't know when. If you see it. You gonna
just make sure Facebook hadn't went offline by the time you set your page up.
Right, but it's coming, and y'all pray for me. I'm very.
He's an old young man.
Yeah. God is bringing me out.
He's bringing him out.
Yeah.
So y'all go follow this dude. Here's this Instagram link below, and you can go follow him. And again, I appreciate you being on the show, man. We'll see you again on another show, another episode.
Oh yeah.
And be sure to check out. You'll see something that we've recorded as well coming up pretty soon. Be sure to check that out. And thank you guys for watching. Please be sure to tune in next week. I'm out of here.
Out.
Peace.